the garden. Now, excitingly, I've got some plants to go in the ground today. Yay! Now, the broad beans that I sowed as part of my seed compost experiment, the ones that have done well, they're looking really big and strong. The roots are starting to show through the bottom. And yeah, I think they're ready to go in the ground. But what I need to do first is I need to sort out the beds behind me. Now, the way that I like to grow in my garden here is probably a little bit different to a lot of, say, allotment growers. So I grow in mixed beds. All of my plants are kind of jumbled up. I don't have a specific allocated space really for the different plants. And on top of that, I really aim to keep my garden as productive as possible over the winter time. So I have lots of, brassicas and leafy greens that I can pick over the winter. And I have to tell you, it is amazing actually, if you grow in that way, just how productive a garden can be over the winter time. But there is one downside, and that is that at this time of year, I actually don't have lots of bare soil to plant into. A lot of my beds are already pretty packed. There's lots of things in there already. So what I need to do now is I need to see, do I want to keep everything that's in there? Have I got too many of a particular plant? And also, I need to do some weeding because it's that time of year where, it's getting a bit warmer. There's still plenty of moisture around and all of the weed seeds are germinating. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty chilled out video today. Just me getting on with a few jobs and getting the best of the broad beans in. Here then is one of my beds. As you can see, I really wasn't lying when I said that I don't like bare soil. It is pretty packed in here. And yeah, I do need to make some space for my broad beans. But don't worry, I absolutely love broad beans and they're one of my favourite things to grow. So I will make space for them. Now behind me here is one of my perennial kale. And I did want to very briefly talk about that because I noticed this week that it was trying to flower. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, does that mean it's going to die afterwards then? Because, if you grow normal kale, you'll know that once it flowers, that's basically the end game, right? On the compost heap. But no, I looked it up. And if you have got a true perennial kale, then you can actually let it flower and it will continue to live after that. And yeah, I actually should let it flower because I know for a fact from when I've grown kale previously that the flowers of brassicas are absolutely loved by, pollinators, all sorts of insects, and it's really good for the diversity in the garden. So to get these beds ready then, I think the easiest thing to do is to remove some of the weeds, and I'll be honest, there's plenty of them, and also to get rid of some of the kind of volunteer plants. Now, I've got a lot of forget-me-nots growing here, and I actually already moved a load over there because I thought they'd be beautiful underneath my my plum tree and everything. I thought it would look really stunning. But yeah, I don't need a whole load of forget-me-nots also here. So I'm going to remove them too and put them in the compost bin. Yeah, so if you look at that now, I've now created a really good space for at least one broad bean plant, possibly two. So in terms of the broad beans, I'm going to be planting out the ones that look really healthy and strong and, that have done well in the compost that I used. And I know you might be wondering, especially if you haven't been watching my seed compost experiment, does it really make any difference what type of compost you use, if it's a seed compost, if it's a multi-purpose? Well, yeah, I think this tray tells a story. So this one here, zero germination, I would say. I'm not going to count that as a germination. There's a slight green shoot on it, but I planted this 1st of Feb. That is not doing anything. And then if I come around to the other side, you see the middle here, they're looking really healthy. Look at the other side. They're not looking very good either, are they? I mean, it's 2.5 months and that's all they've done. So you would be surprised that actually the compost you use can make a difference. And if you've not seen my experiment, I do recommend that you check it out. I'll be doing the results video very soon, I think. And yeah, it is fascinating, I think, the difference that what compost you use can actually make. But yeah, this one here is looking absolutely lovely. It was grown in the Melcourt Silver Grow compost and it's ready to go in. There's a good root system on there. And I think it's ready to go in the ground now. So I'm just going to tease it out a little bit. Now behind this space that I've just created, you might not be able to see very well, but there is actually a beer trap. I'll do a close up of that. And I do have to say, you know, I did do a quick video recently talking about slugs this year. And you know what? We had a really mild, wet winter. It's probably going to be a bad year for slugs, I think. So I've got my beer traps out really, really early, and I did manage to catch quite a lot of very young baby slugs. Hopefully it will help protect some of my young seedlings, like my broad beans. I do recommend, if you haven't got them out already, that you think about doing that. So I'll probably put in a little bit, like a handful of compost at the bottom there, just to help it establish itself. I do have some homemade compost. I'll just go and get some of that. If I was a bit more organised, I would have had that ready. So I'm just going to tease it out a little bit just to help it on its way. Now the advantage of using the homemade compost is you get things like worms in there already, which you're never going to get in the store-bought compost. There we go. Yeah, that looks good and healthy, doesn't it? So let's pop that in. That is the first one in. Lovely. So you'll see in a lot of my beds that my garlic is actually coming up. It's looking really quite strong. I'm really happy with that. I sowed these, oh gosh, it was on a really windy day in the autumn. And yeah, they look like they're going to do good things for me this year. I reckon I can squeeze another one into this bed here. And let's get another lovely strong plant to put in. Look at that, great root system, looking really healthy. Let's put that in. Cool. The first of the forget-me-nots is out. How beautiful. This lovely blue, I don't know, mauve colour. What would you call it? Now this bed here is again very busy. I've got an old lettuce here that I've had in over the winter and is looking quite old, and I think it's had it really. So I think I'm going to take that out. And in front of it, I've also got some red sorrel that you can't see. And I've actually got an awful lot of red sorrel plants, the red vein sorrel. So they've got leaves like this. Really good plant to have in your garden over the winter. But I find that they self-seed a lot, and yeah, I don't need as many as I have. So I'm probably going to remove one of those plants, and that'll give me a bit of extra space then to get some broad beans in here. Yeah, so that's what the red vein sorrel looks like. As I say, I've got plenty of these plants. I don't need any more, so I think that can go in the compost bin too. So there's a bit of space now. I've moved the lettuce and the red sorrel there. I could definitely put a plant in there, I think. I mean, that has got a terrific root structure on it. Absolutely fantastic, looking really healthy. I've just seen something there. Oh gosh. There's a little slug at the bottom. Let's get rid of that. That's no good at all. But yeah, that is a really healthy root structure. Fantastic. I'm going to plant that one quite deep because it seems to be a little bit wonky. But yeah, it's looking lovely. I would say that I've probably got a couple more, 2, 3 more that I'd like to get in today. So let's keep looking for space. Now in this bed here, we've actually got quite a few weeds. I hope you can see because it's gone really sunny now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out some of the dandelions, and that will make a bit of extra space. Go. Actually got an old broad bean here that died over the winter. Let's take that out. Yeah, hey presto, we have a space. What is that? Oh, hang on. We may not have a space though. What is this? Oh, oh no. Maybe not. I've just come across quite a big tree root from the local trees. Maybe it's not such a good place to plant. I might need to think about what to do with that. I'll leave that for now though and find another space, I think. So I do have quite a good space here. Maybe I can put one in here instead. Now while I'm doing this, oh, here we go. Oh gosh, it's the whole way along, look. I thought I got rid of all of these. Yeah, so I jinxed myself at the top of the video when I said this was going to be really chill today. I just had to get the tree saw out because as I was trying to plant into the bed, I kept coming across this. So I've had to remove that. But yeah, I've now got two spaces where I can put in my board beans. Yeah, so I can dig in here now. Hey, look at that. Amazing. Let's get the next one in from the Westland John Innes. Whoa. Another absolutely lovely root system. I don't know how well you can see it, taking now the sun's out, but that is a really healthy root system on there. You know, I didn't really know much about John Innes and everything until I did the seed compost experiment, but I am very much of the opinion now that the reason why it's been around since, I think I said the 1930s, is because it really does work. It makes a difference, I think. Okay. And yeah, I can put another one in here. It was literally running parallel across here, the basically like this. I mean, actually, this bed, despite the issue with the roots that you've seen, this is the bed here that had the volunteer chili plants, the volunteer tomato plant. So it was actually a very productive bed. It does, I think, get the most sun. That's probably the reason. There we are. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so that's all of the broad beans that I want to get in the ground then. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to carry on now, just doing a bit more weeding, getting the beds ready, so that for the next round of plantings, I don't have to do all of this all over again. Um, you might be thinking this is all a bit of a faff, and wouldn't it be easier actually to just grow in kind of designated beds, as most people would do at an allotment? And you know what? Maybe to some extent that's true. I did do a video on why I like to garden this way. I will put a link in the description. But one of the benefits I have to tell you about having things dotted here, there, and everywhere is it really does help with pests. It really does, because, you know, if you have, I don't know, some lovely new lettuce plantings that you put in the ground and you put them all in one lovely long row, the pest just has to find that row. Whereas if you've got things dotted around, there's always a good chance that one or two will survive, and it does really make a difference. So there is a real benefit here, particularly, you know, as I said, with the slugs. I find certain parts of my garden have more issues with slugs than others, and so it could be that, you know, one of my broad beans gets really attacked in one area, but it's fine in another. So that's one of the reasons why I garden like this. I also just personally really enjoy it. So, and gardening is all about fun, right? If you're not having fun, what is the point? When it comes to weeding, you know, my approach is very much less is more. I only take out what's in the way, or maybe if I'm concerned about something spreading too much. But generally speaking, you know, if I've got dandelions in my lawn, or I don't know, other things that are really great for pollinators, I do try to leave them, you know, just weed sparingly. I know other people might have different views on that, but that's what works for me. And yeah. So as I'm making space in my beds here, I am removing plenty of dandelions. Now, dandelions are really a very underused resource. Hear me out. You're thinking I've gone mad, but hear me out. Because dandelions have a really deep taproot that goes deep into the ground, the leaves are actually packed full of nutrients that many other plants struggle to get. So they are an amazing plant to use for chop and drop. So, you know, do keep the leaves. Obviously, don't put the roots down, but do keep the leaves and put them around some of your plants that you want to give some extra nutrition to, and it will give them a real good boost at the start of the growing season. I do have quite a popular video with all the different plants that you can use for chop and drop, alongside some of the plants that you definitely shouldn't use. And yeah, I'll put a link in the description if you'd like to check that out. Yeah, so there are all the dandelion leaves then nicely chopped up. I think we can say that there were quite a few dandelions in those two quite small beds there. It was a job that needed doing. But this is fantastic because there's so many nutrients in these leaves. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place it around the base of my plum tree that I planted Yeah, back in autumn, I think. So it's not been in there very long, and it could do with a bit of a nutrient boost. Yes, I've just grabbed my watering can. I had to hunt around for it actually. I think maybe the recent strong winds that we had blew it away or something. Anyway, what I wanted to say was if you do put any seedlings in the ground, do try and water them as early on in the day as you can. The last thing you want to do is to be watering them, just before it gets dark, because honestly, you're just putting a sign on the all you can eat buffet, like a big neon sign saying, I don't know, welcome slugs. And yeah, we don't want to do that. Protect your seedlings, water them as early on in the day as you can. And yeah, let's try and make it a little bit difficult for them, right? Yeah, so that's the broad beans in the ground then. I'm really happy with that. The first vegetables that I planted this spring. Obviously, broad beans are a really hardy plant. For most other vegetables, it is better to wait, or at least if you do put them out, do remember to cover them. Do let me know if there's anything else that you're doing to get your garden ready for spring. If there's anything that you think I've missed, do put a note in the comments section. Please remind me. Yeah, I do have to laugh at myself sometimes. I said at the beginning it was going to be a really chill video, and I don't think I do chilled very well because, yeah, I ended up having to get the tree saw out. But yeah, you never know what you're going to come across when you garden, do you? As I've just shown. So, yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.